I'm gonna go soft on you, like every man that's ever seen you naked.
Look at your trousers, look like you're expecting flood. What's going on? Shooting.
So rewind to that, my friend, because what's your favourite machine? The vending?
Jimmy Carr doesn't just handle rude interviewers, he absolutely destroys them. He has this way of flipping the conversation, making them look ridiculous without even trying. Let's go through some moments where Jimmy showed why he's the master of shutting people down. Starting with an epic interview, the other podcast guest, Bert Kreischer, tried to poke fun at Jimmy's reading skills.
Do you want to do your impression of Jimmy for him?
Hello, Mummy. I would like to take my spot of tea at the meadow today.
Right. Right, so you've not watched a lot of Downton Abbey, but quite a lot of Guy Ritchie films.
I have. I've only watched Guy Ritchie. The only take back, and if you watch the special, it's super enjoyable, is I read everyone's jokes as they were doing them because I was reading the prompter.
Big mistake. Jimmy, without missing a beat, turned it right back on them, questioning their reading ability instead.
You think we don't know that?
Oh.
No, we saw it.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. Oh, no. I was going to inquire as to your reading age when I got here. I think you're really coming along.
He was
and he's
great.
A legit goddamn movie star.
Yeah.
Not like one machine movie. That didn't count. Like a proper, proper general release. Like people went to see, they bought tickets.
Yes.
It's like a real movie.
Yeah.
No.
Real revenue. Yes.
Not like whatever. You made a thing for YouTube. Not that.
Yes.
A real one.
The moment was brutal. He watched them struggle and then casually asked, "What's your reading age, by the way?" The room erupted. Jimmy didn't just shut them down. He made sure everyone knew who was in charge.
My first joke that worked was about jerking off in a cheeseburger.
Into one?
No, with one. I put it around my and jerked off with a cheeseburger around my.
Okay.
And that was like a big. That was my closer.
Did they make you leave In and Out?
No, but I took.
They shouldn't have called it In and Out if they didn't want people to do that.
And these.
How much of a problem do you have with food before you fuck a burger? I mean, I'm not a psychiatrist, but that feels like this is the conversation before the intervention, right? Oh, I love food. No, you don't understand.
When you started doing comedy clubs, because we both started in comedy clubs, and I was not good at recognizing morons. Like, I would tether up to morons quick. Tom is really good at picking out morons. Like, he's like, that guy, he's an idiot.
He knows he's saying this, yeah?
Yeah. Why? What am I saying? But like, were you? Because you were like, you came from a different world.
I still don't think he knows he's saying this. So you're saying Tom's good at picking out morons?
He's really good at picking out morons. Oh, no, I'm not saying that.
And there, you saw the penny drop in perhaps the slowest of all motions.
At one instance, he tried to downplay a comedian's success by saying their project wasn't a real movie. Jimmy was having none of it. He pressed them. Was there a general release? Did people actually pay to see it? Was there real revenue? Oh, so it was a real movie. Bert had nothing left to say. Jimmy didn't even need to get aggressive. He just used their own logic against them and made them look ridiculous. Later in the podcast, Bert started sharing a weird personal story about, doing something very inappropriate with a cheeseburger. Jimmy didn't just laugh it off. He completely flipped it into an intervention. How bad is your relationship with food that you ended up there? It was the perfect mix of brutal and hilarious. The guy kept trying to explain, but Jimmy made it sound more and more like he needed serious help. Well, at one point, he was trying to explain something, but Jimmy could tell they weren't quite getting what they were actually saying. Instead of correcting them, he just let them talk until they finally realized how stupid they sounded. It was comedy gold. Jimmy didn't even have to insult them. He just let them dig their own hole. Jimmy Carr doesn't just handle awkward moments, he flips them back on the people who started them. One of the funniest examples? His interview with a group of female TV hosts who tried to embarrass him ended up getting completely roasted instead.
Do you really want to see him in tight lycra and spandex and sequins? Does that inspire faith?
Not really. I mean, you're making that sound incredibly homoerotic. I'm not really up for that. But I take your point. Yeah, no, I don't think it's a bad thing for politicians to become because they've had such a bad year. They've lost all credibility, so they might as well have a little dance in spangles.
Well, even while they're actually in government,
The interview started with one of the hosts making a weird comment about how Jimmy would look in tight spandex and sequins. They were clearly trying to poke fun at him, but Jimmy didn't even blink. Instead, he hit back instantly. "You're making that sound incredibly homoerotic." The hosts didn't expect that. They laughed nervously, realizing they walked right into his trap. Later in the conversation, they asked Jimmy how he would feel if his holiday got cancelled because of bad weather. Jimmy played along at first, acting like he didn't mind, but then suddenly switched it up. "Yeah, actually, I'd be quite upset now that I think about it." The quick change caught them completely off guard, making it even funnier.
Yeah.
That's handy with the weather. What would you
it
have
is.
done? Would
Well,
you?
I mean, I spend a lot of time. I mean, I do about 200 shows a year, so we're constantly up and down the motorways and around, and we've been very lucky. Touch wood. There's none.
Full Mica.
We've been.
Who's going to do that?
What? Could have been worse. We've been very lucky with. But thankfully you were here, so there's no danger. We've been very lucky with the motorways and things, but my heart goes out. You know, people get stuck in the motorways and the airports. It's just.
It's shocking, isn't it?
Well, we're planning on going away. We're planning on going on holiday.
Out of the country?
Yeah.
No chance.
What, you haven't you're just planning, you haven't actually planned it yet, you're just planning.
We planned.
Have you
You've got a
booked?
flight booked.
We've booked, but I think what we need is a plan B now. I think we need to. I think there's going to be a lot of last-minute shopping. People driving home from the airport, going right. We better stop up in Sainsbury's and pick up some
Will that
stuff.
worry you? Will you be upset about that?
What if my holiday
Yeah,
gets
if you
cancelled
can't
because of
go.
bad weather?
Yeah,
No, I won't be
yeah.
upset at all. Yeah, I'll be quite upset. Yeah, thinking about it, I suppose.
Well, you go somewhere.
It's like, you know, it's a
Not
place-
only this, one of the hosts casually mentioned, "I've got wellies. I'm up for it." Without missing a beat, Jimmy turned it into an internet dating joke.
I've got wellies, I'm going to get on with it.
I'm not sure what's being proposed. OK, she's got wellies and she's up for it.
waterproof,
Good.
don't you?
This feels more like internet dating than being on like a chat show. I've got wellies, I'm up for it.
Jimmy, we know.
Oh, here we go.
We said no.
That feels more like a dating ad than a chat show. The hosts had no comeback. They tried to mess with Jimmy, but in the end, he completely owned them. Jimmy Carr has dealt with all kinds of hecklers, but this one, they tried coming for his suit. Bad idea.
Who do you think your suit's off?
What, sorry?
Who do you think your suit's off?
Who'd you get your suit off? Don't fucking know. You sound objectionably northern.
Turnips on your suit.
A two-inch turnip, yes.
Turnips on your suit, so it must be for somebody else.
No, that's how a suit is cut, sir. I don't know if you're aware, but you've come dressed by Primark. I mean, there's no fucking. I don't want to be a dick about it, but you look like a potato still in the sack.
Someone in the crowd randomly shouted at Jimmy to get his suit off. Without missing a beat, Jimmy fired back, mocking their thick northern accent and acting confused, like the comment wasn't even meant for him. The audience was already laughing, but Jimmy wasn't done. Jimmy took one look at the heckler and delivered the knockout blow. "You look like a potato still in the sack." The crowd erupted. The heckler had nothing left to say. Once again, Jimmy flipped the situation and made them part of the joke. If you come at him, you better be ready, because he always wins. Pushing forward, Jimmy Carr is no stranger to roasting, but when he went up against Big Nasty, it turned into a legendary back and forth. The punches were flying, and Jimmy made sure to land the biggest ones.
You're like the world's fattest toddler. I don't mean that.
Are we going for shots then? Look at your trousers, look like you're expecting flood. What's going on? No one there. Someone starts shooting. No one there.
I mean, that chair was built for a regular-sized human. It's not. This is mad.
Yeah, is it really? Yeah. Your suit's between 6 and 7 years old, mate. You get me? And furthermore, Mo, both of you smile. Who's got whiter teeth? Your fake jaw side. You both got fake jaws. Look, open the teeth.
Right from the start, Jimmy took one look at Big Nasty and went in. He joked that Nasty came dressed like he was hosting Springwatch, a nature show, not a comedy talk show. But the real hit came next. He told Nasty he looked like the world's fattest toddler. The crowd lost it, and even Nasty had to laugh.
To the say to you, you wasn't with me shooting in the fucking gym. That's what I'm trying to say, cuz. When I was doing the dead raves, no,
what were you doing in the gym?
On the come up, the taxman never noticed man like me. You get what I mean, cuz?
But what were you saying about going to the gym? What were you... Let's go rewind to that, my friend, because what's your favourite machine? The vending?
When Nasty started talking about going to the gym, Jimmy wasn't having it. He quickly cut him off and asked, "What's your favourite machine? The vending one?" The joke landed so hard that Nasty barely had a comeback. It was classic Jimmy, sharp, brutal, and perfectly timed. After that, Nasty tried to joke about always being the biggest guy in the room, but Jimmy took it to another level. He said, "You couldn't be the fat guy unless you were in the ocean. If you were, a Japanese guy would harpoon you." The entire studio erupted in laughter, and Nasty had no choice but to take the hit.
I was right here in the seat, you know? I've done this from a youth, man. Cussing is standard, cuz. I've always been the fat one in my group, cuz. I'm used to shelling, cuz. Trust me.
You've always been the fat one in your group.
Cuz, and I was getting way
Who
more
would you
fun
have
than
to
you,
hang out
cuz.
with not to be the fat guy? You couldn't be a land mammal and not be the fat guy. You'd have to be ocean bound before you could go, "Hey, I'm the skinny bitch."
Oh, mate.
When you're the skinny guy, it's gonna be... A Japanese guy's gonna fucking harpoon you.
Hey, this bow is epic, boy. You know this.
He didn't stop there. Nasty teased Jimmy about his perfect teeth, but Jimmy turned it around. He told Nasty he had a great dentist, one that also does gastric bands. Then he finished him off by saying they'd need a fan belt from a 747 to fit him. The roast was so brutal that even Nasty had to admit defeat.
Epic.
It's pretty good. Well, what have you splashed out on? What have you, other than porcelain trinkets, what have you splashed out on?
Oh, you talking about my cheetah?
Yeah.
Oh.
What's
You got a lot of jewellery,
What's the
innit?
craziest thing you spent money on, other than the H. Samuel thing?
What's the highest thing you put? Your teeth?
Yeah.
Roll you in the jaw side.
No, I introduced you to the dentist. He also knows a great guy who does gastric bands as well, so...
Gastric bands? They're going to need a fan belt from a 747.
Richard, you need a fucking nourishment, yeah? You're malnourished and you're shooting blanks.
Jimmy Carr once again proved that no one is safe when he's in the room. If you try roasting him, just be ready to get burned. When a heckler named Rack decided to challenge Jimmy Carr during a show, he probably thought he had a chance. He was wrong. Jimmy didn't just shut him down, he humiliated him in front of everyone.
When does the comedy start? All right. What's your name, sir? Like shoe rack, you're called Rack. If the show's not for you, it's not for you. But I feel bad if you paid all this money to come and see me and you don't think it's funny. You've had a disaster. But I suppose, Rack, you have learnt a valuable lesson. You've learnt life's not fair. You pays your money, you takes your chance. Sometimes it's a good show, sometimes it's not for you. But I'll give you another example, Rack, so you haven't had a wasted evening. At least you've learned something. Another example of how unfair, Rack, our society is. Let's say if a man, you're right, sir, let's say if a man sleeps with loads and loads of women, what is he? He's a stud, he's a player, he's admired in our society. That isn't an opinion, that's fact. If a guy sleeps with loads of women, he's a player, he's a stud, he's admired.
It all began when Rack shouted, "When does the comedy start?" Jimmy, without missing a beat, turned the spotlight on him. He asked for his name, and when he heard Rack, he acted confused before firing back with pure sarcasm. "If the show's not for you, it's not for you," he said, pretending to feel bad for the guy. But Jimmy was just warming up. Jimmy continued, telling Rack he had learned a valuable life lesson that night. "You pay your money, you take your chance," he joked, making it clear that Rack had just paid to get roasted. But Jimmy wasn't done yet.
He's a player, he's a stud, he's admired. But if a woman sleeps with loads and loads of men, she's called Rack's mum.
But Jimmy didn't end the roasting there. He wrapped it all up with a brutal punchline. He brought up a classic double standard: how men who sleep around are called players, but women who do the same get judged. Then, with perfect timing, he delivered the knockout line. If a woman sleeps with loads and loads of men, she's called Rack's mum. The crowd erupted in laughter, and Rack had no comeback. When Jimmy Carr appeared on Your Mum's House podcast on November 1st, 2023, he quickly found himself dealing with some absurd questions. Instead of brushing them off, he did what he does best, turning them into comedy gold.
What do you want to put in their place? Because there is like a ceremonial role where someone kind of sketchy can come and visit the country and they meet the royals, and it's kind of a way of dealing with that where it's not politicians. And politicians now, there's no statesman. Everyone's on a 4-year cycle of trying to get re-elected, re-elected.
Yeah.
No one's making plans for the future or talking to people, or at that level, nations need to talk to each other. So there is kind of a role they play.
For sure there is.
The co-host, Christina, kicked things off with a bizarre question about the British royal family's accent. Do the royals just have their own dialect, or is that like a super upper crest accent? Jimmy looked puzzled, then turned the awkward moment into a roast. He sarcastically tried to rephrase their question, making it clear how ridiculous it sounded. With his classic deadpan humor, he made the hosts regret even asking. The other host, Tom, complimented Jimmy's intelligence, saying he sounds smarter than every other guest. Jimmy, never missing a chance to flip the joke, made it clear he knew what was really happening. He playfully warned that the host's wife might slip off her seat from excitement. The chemistry was building, but so was Jimmy's patience for nonsense. As the conversation went on, Jimmy eventually turned his jokes towards Tom, the host. He played along with their fascination with his British accent, pretending to be a high-class scholar compared to them. Then came the final knockout. Jimmy casually suggested that Tom's inevitable divorce should be pay-per-view, since we all know it's coming. The room exploded with laughter, and Tom had no comeback. Finally, a heckler thought they had the perfect insult for Jimmy, saying he laughs like an asthmatic seal or a donkey. Bold move. But if there's one person you don't want to challenge in a battle of words, it's Jimmy Carr.
You laugh like an asthmatic seal and a donkey. I laugh like an asthmatic seal donkey. How do you know?
Then, without missing a beat, Jimmy repeated the insult back in mock agreement, then delivered the knockout punch. How do you know? Suddenly, the heckler wasn't so confident. The crowd erupted, and the joke was now on them. So, what was your favourite moment when Jimmy Carr completely destroyed his interviewers and rude hecklers? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more epic comebacks.